another blitz. Hurts takes it right up the gut. Touchdown Eagles. Here's the deep ball. Got hit as he let it go. Oh, DeVante Smith. What a catch. From 54 for the win. On the way. It is there. And the Eagles remain unbeaten.
Hello again. Welcome back to the Flyin Style Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Mitchell, back with my co-host, Steven Maslij.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Long time no see, Matt.
Yes, sir. Long time no see. It's been a while since the end of the season. Obviously, the Eagles didn't end it the way we had all hoped. We had a loss in the wild card round. We didn't even really bother coming back and talking too much about it because we were obviously a little butthurt about the way that season ended. But we're on to a new season. And we're already into free agency acquisitions. The free agency period already passed a couple weeks ago. Maz and I have been a little bit busy, so we didn't get around to getting it out super early. But we wanted to get back to you guys, talk to you about our free agency acquisitions. That's right. And, we just wanted to, go over what we have going for us next season and, what the outlook on the season is looking like with the new guys we've got. So, let's just jump right into it, the fun stuff. Let's talk about these guys that we got. And starting off with, who other than Saquon Barkley, the biggest signing that we got.
That was insane. I am so happy that we finally got a surefire running back that's a generational talent when he was drafted. He's still a beast in the league. Our own line could only boost him to, who knows? The Giants O-line, I couldn't find the exact stats, but we're definitely bottom half of the league in their rush blocking. And you just watched how Swift did it for us. You watched how Miles did it for us. And now we got a guy that's even better than both of them. And I was an advocate for re-signing Swift, but if you could get Saquon, I think that's only even more of an upgrade because he's just so talented and just a straight beast. He's, I think, the second best running back in the league outside of CMC. And I am so happy. And it's only going to boost his offense. So I have no complaints.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a huge acquisition. We locked him up for 3 years on a $37.75 million contract. Could be up to $46.75 million with incentives. And it also included a $26 million guaranteed bonus at signing. So we now have Saquon locked up for 3 years. He is officially an Eagle. As he put it, he's now on the better side of the rivalry, and couldn't be more excited to have him. You know how excited I was to have a running back like Swift come in last year and the expectations I had for him, saying that he was going to put up around 1,400 all-purpose yards, which that prediction might not have been too inaccurate if we used him more in the passing game like I had hoped we would. We really didn't utilize him in the way that I expected us to, but now we've got a guy like Saquon Barkley who's even further an upgrade than last year. And with no disrespect to DeAndre Swift, hope he does well with the Bears. Philly guy, always going to love him. But super excited for Saquon Barkley. The dude's just a beast. Breaks tackles, puts up yards after contact, is shifty. He's everything you want in a running back. And, as guys that, grew up around Philly and PA, we obviously also watch Penn State a lot and getting to see, the kind of moves he put on people. I've seen few running backs like him, so I'm definitely extremely excited to see this. I've been begging for, that playmaker guy in the backfield for a long time. I know that we've never been a team that's been super interested in putting that kind of investment into a running back. But, with the recent success of the 49ers getting, Christian McCaffrey, it kind of set, a cornerstone for how the game plan can work and how much of an impact it can make. And with the O-line that we've always had, I've been dying for us to get somebody like Saquon, and I'm so excited, dude. I cannot wait to see it in action.
The only concern was some people had was just the injuries that were building up, but that was mostly Giants fans kind of talking in the ear because they were pissed off that he got signed.
The way Giants fans were just so hurt over this.
They were so salty.
I never want to see another human being in pain unless it's football season and it's Giants and Cowboys
It was
fans
so
and
funny.
sometimes Washington fans. I
It
mean,
was
oh
so
my
funny
goodness.
watching them just try to
Your
rationalize
golden boy.
how they made like a decent move by signing. I think they signed Singletary shortly after
Yeah,
for
they did.
almost half the money, but it was just like you try to rationalize that like it's a good thing that you guys didn't offer him. So it's
Spent 2 years, trying to, tiptoe around the contract. You didn't want to invest in it. You didn't want to, just buy into it, and can't be butthurt after that. I mean, fans obviously have no say in it, but
no, I
the
hope he's
Giants
really
organization did themselves dirty by letting go of somebody like that, and especially putting the investment they put into Daniel Jones instead. I mean, that was just a monumental, terrible move.
I mean, good old Danny Dimes. He'll be back this season after another big injury. But I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with them, and I really just want them to be poverty. That'd be cool because I don't care for them to be good in our division. Commanders are making a lot of moves, but we have a lot more moves that we have made, including re-signing Mr. CJ Gardner-Johnson, coming back from the Detroit Lions, getting his money of the max value of 3 years worth, $33 million. I'm happy that he's back. I knew he threw some shade at Philly when he was leaving.
Yeah, we stole his car. Can we be surprised?
I mean, yeah.
And let's be real with ourselves. We know Philly. We've been down in the games a lot. We've, enjoyed lots of time in that area with the fans in the city. We're pretty scummy. We can't hide it completely. The fans, I will always love Philadelphia. The fans are loyal. They care. They're diehard. Every fan cares about it like it's, their own child. You'll never find fans that care more than Eagles fans do. But obviously, it's not for everybody. Some people, don't take well to the way that Philly fans overreact to things. And sometimes, I also hate the way Philly fans act. I think it's a little ridiculous sometimes. And, the way they can turn on their favorite player on a dime is pretty nuts. But what I can promise you out of Philadelphia is that, you're not going to have a fan base that cares even an inch more than the Eagles do. So hopefully CJ Gardner makes that mindset adjustment and just understands what the fans are expecting from him and how much faith they have in him, and they're only hard on the guys that they really care about. So
this is true, and CJ's gonna chirp no matter what is in his face. So that's who he is, and I love it. So Thanks for coming back, CJ.
Absolutely.
And then do you want to move? Who do you want to do next?
Well, I'm going to jump to my next favorite signing. Actually, it's really a toss up between these two guys, but I'll start with another position that we never expected Howie to invest in, and invest in somebody with such a highly touted name at the position so far, and that would be Devin White, who we got on only a 1-year deal worth $7.5 million. But it's kind of a prove me deal because he did struggle in his past season with the Bucs. He was obviously asking for a trade. He wanted out. He didn't agree with the coaches. He didn't get along with the coaching staff. A lot of problems going on internally there. Hard to say what kind of toll that took on his ability to play. He's still incredibly young, and I have no doubt that his career is not, flipped over already. Based on the things I saw from him previously. So I couldn't be more excited that we finally invested in a linebacker. What do you think?
I am so excited because we haven't had a guy like this. Obviously, was he a top 10 linebacker in 2021? Yes, maybe even top 5. But obviously he's dropped off a little bit, but it doesn't matter because we needed something like this. After last year, watching our linebackers struggle to tackle, struggle to make plays, struggle to even get the spots, and struggle to even blitz. We couldn't blitz because our linebackers are so awful. And with Devin White coming in, he'll bring another level that's just, I know he has to prove himself. It's on a 1 year, so he needs a good season for himself to even keep his career going. He basically bet on himself. I'm glad we bet on him. I think he's going to come in here and do great things. I'm very excited for Devin White to be here.
Yeah, I do want to stop you in one spot in your argument there, though. That I don't like to say that somebody fell off because, especially when they're so young in their career. I mean, what's he been in the league for? 3 years, 4?
Yeah, it's been
Um,
1, 2, 3, 4. It's fifth year. Lives last year.
his 5th year was last year. Okay, so I feel like it's too soon to say that somebody fell off. He had a bad season. I feel like we start there, we move from there. Um,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I mean, it was progressing downwards from him being like a top tier
yeah, of
linebacker.
course. I mean,
But
but he's like I said. I think the age thing is going to overcome that. I think that he has, it's not like his athletic ability has taken a decline.
he's
I
only
think he just needed
26.
to get his, mental state in the right spot and come into a place he wants to play. A championship caliber team like the Eagles are. And yes, the Eagles are a championship caliber team. I don't, I'm not listening to any of the haters that are still having doubts about last season. Um, and speaking of, I don't think we ever talked about did we ever talk about the coaching acquisitions?
We did
We did.
last episode, yeah. But we can. Did we get did we get Kellen Moore officially? I know we got Fangio.
Yes. Just for reminder for everybody, we obviously re-signed new coaches in Vic Fangio and the defensive coordinator and Kellen Moore Jr. in the offensive coordinator. So we're going to be seeing different things on both sides of the ball. Both guys are setting up their personnel the way they see fit, and I'm super excited to see Saquon Barkley in Kellen Moore's system because he uses a lot of passing out of the backfield to the running back, and somebody like Saquon is perfect for that. The same way that I thought so of DeAndre Swift, but hopefully with this new coordinator set in, and we've talked about the fact that Nick Sirianni probably isn't going to be too much in control of the play calling. It's probably going to be Kellen Moore. Hopefully we get to see a lot of action out of the backfield from our new golden boy. So I'm excited.
No, I'm very excited. And I mean, we'll see. Obviously, last season, just the end of it, still leaves a stank, like a bad taste in my mouth. I just didn't know what happened with everything that fell off, and none of us will ever know. But I mean, we'll see. I just need to see them play a game up to their ability again because I didn't see it the last 6 games, and I don't know if it's possible. I know it is, but it really made for all of us just like a really
you and me
bad
both.
taste.
You and me both.
Really
Had
bad
a sour taste in our mouth after last season, and then watch how we come into this offseason ready and raring, wanting to win again, and went out and made a lot of good moves that we're about to get into. And I think everybody, including myself, felt that glimmer of hope come right back because we filled in a lot of holes, as you're going to see. So I mean, we only have a few more holes that we could still fill, and I feel like we're going to do a good job of doing that through the draft, which obviously we'll be getting into next episode. But I like the direction that Howie's gone with this offseason and the guys he's decided to invest in. And don't forget, a lot of people are, upset at how much money we spent. We're still like 30. We still have like 30 million in cap left over. We still have room to sign somebody if we want to. However, Howie likes to roll that money over into next season, for all these extensions we're about to give, and not to mention still waiting on an extension for DeVonte Smith, although we know that's coming. The other guy that I felt like was he was up there with my favorite signings. I think even more so than C.J. Gardner and Devin White, and that would be Bryce Huff, the end. He's an edge rusher. We got him on a 3-year deal worth $51.1 million, making him the highest paid undrafted free agent ever. Fun fact for you. And for anybody that didn't know a whole lot about Bryce Huff, I'll plead guilty. I didn't know a ton about him until I did some research into him. He was a real up and comer. He didn't play a lot of snap shares on the Jets last year. Very limited time on the field, but did an absolute ton with it. Had the 3rd highest pass rush rate in the NFL last season with 22.9, only behind Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. And dude was a beast. Put up 10 sacks. I wish that I had the exact stat on the percentage of snaps that he played, but I remember seeing that stat and thinking, "Wow, he put up 10 sacks in that number of games and that number of snaps." Sorry. And I was shocked. So I'm very excited to see us pull in a young guy like Bryce Huff. We definitely needed some help on the edge, but tell me what your thoughts are on him.
Honestly, I was in the same boat as you. I didn't know much about him. I kind of recognized the name just for like free agency sake of a name floating around there. But I mean, a double-digit sack guy. I don't. The only critique that I've heard was his run defense wasn't great. That's why he wasn't getting as much snap count. But he's still young. I have no doubt that he will learn, that Fangio will teach him right, that everything will be okay. I like the signing. I don't know if I didn't watch too much of his film to make a full opinion on him, but for everything I heard, it seems like we just need a guy to get to the quarterback, and we had that 2 years ago. Just a bunch of dogs that could get to the quarterback, and I think we're rebuilding this defense really well, and I can't complain about it.
Exactly. I mean, I think that that he's a perfect guy for the system that we have going right now. I mean, you can't forget the guys that we still have on the field. We did go out and give Bryce Huff this nice hefty deal, but we've still got Brandon Graham, we've still got Haason Reddick, we've still got Josh Sweat, and we've still got Nolan Smith. So we still have a lot of guys that are very capable edge rushers, but now we've got a rotation going, and Bryce Huff, like you said, is a guy that struggles in the run but excels in the pass heavily. And you're going to see him on a lot of passing downs, rushing the quarterback.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's going to be his job. He's going to be a quarterback rusher, and I'm all for getting more pressure on the edge. So I was super excited about the signing. Went on to a lot of Jet fan pages to see what I could dig up about him, and saw that they were not only really upset that they didn't manage to get him back, but were praising him heavy during the season as well. And for minimized snap guy like himself to get that kind of praise from the fan base, I know we're getting a guy that's going to do some good things for us. So I'm definitely excited about that.
Yeah, very excited about that. Yeah. There's not too many more big signings, I don't think, but the one underrated signing that I will say is the Matt Hennessy signing. He's a kid did he come from the Falcons, right?
Yeah, from the Falcons, and he went to Temple. TU, baby.
He was a center, I believe, at Temple, and he was a center for the Falcons. But I think he's going to fill in perfectly where Cam was at the guard position. I believe that it's a perfect type signing. I'm surprised we got him for as cheap as we did. I didn't think he was horrible. He was a starter on the Falcons. I don't know how well he was doing. I didn't see him making any like all-pro accolades or anything about that, but
it's obviously not easy to keep track of offensive linemen. There's not a lot of stats,
especially they're not on your team
to keep track of their progress. So all we can go off of is the fact that he's a starter. Played all games for them. He has done good things. I knew the name. It wasn't like a nobody name that I've never heard of getting that signing. And but don't sleep on the guys that we have behind in the depth right now. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's going to be a straight up starter right away. Not only do we have Toth, but I'm blanking on his name right now, but who is the guy we drafted last year? Tyler Steen.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Steen. I think that he's going to have some competition to be in that spot as well. So don't sleep on those other guys. Not to mention they've been in the system a lot longer. They have more experience, so they're going to have a head start right off the gate. But hopefully this guy turns out to be, a top-tier player that can start for us. I hope the best for him. But I also hope to see Tyler Steen take a step up, but I wouldn't mind, not a big deal if he still sits a year getting some experience under his belt.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of glad that Jack Driscoll's gone. I say that in the worst, in the most I don't mean that in any harm way possible, but he kind of annoyed me, honestly. I know he came in for Lane most of the time, and it was just annoying. I'm glad
he was a pain in the ass just because we're used to the best tackle in the league, and then
his expectations were set way too high, but
frustrating. Yeah, he had his annoying, lineman quirks, but it is what it is. And then we're just gonna have to see on that. But lastly, before we just kind of list through the last of our signings here, the last big man on our list here is Brandon Graham coming back on a 1-year deal, worth
Farewell tour.
worth about reportedly $4 million, undisclosed, but it's our guy, man. I mean, Brandon Graham is an Eagles legend coming back on a 1-year deal. We all know that this is going to be his farewell tour. I hope that we can, send him off better than we did Jason Kelce, unfortunately. And
Cox, dude. I wish Cox stayed for another
and
year.
Cox. I was really upset at the lack of, respect Cox got for his retirement. I mean,
Yeah, honestly, I feel like everyone was
it was
crying over
so
Kelce.
overshadowed by Kelce, and it's a shame.
And that's no disrespect to Kelce, because obviously he's the best center I've seen in my lifetime, but that's also
Kelce
biased.
knows this, and Kelce's talked about it on his podcast that he felt like it was, the audience for Fletcher Cox wasn't nearly what it should have been for an Eagles legend like himself. And, Kelce's gone on to say that Cox was a much better football player than he was. And, that's obviously up for debate. But those are two Eagles legends, two guys that, are probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. And, it's a shame that it got so overshadowed. I wish that he got more of a hurrah on his way out. And it's a shame that we obviously had the season that we did to end it the way that it did for both of them. But
yeah. I'm glad at least Brandon came back. I'm glad we could say goodbye to someone. I feel he's going to take that, like, kind of the farewell tour for all of them in a way.
Yeah, he's made it pretty, evident that this will be his last year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He said he's basically coming back for one last ride, and I hope that we can give him the ride he deserves too.
All right. Do you think in any way, and I completely disagree with this too, but do you think in any way that Kelce comes back? I know it's all a joke. I know Saquon says, like, "Oh, come back." They're joking around. Do you think there's any possibility Cam Jurgens goes down? Like, we're in desperate need. Anything that could?
No, I really don't. The scenario you just said, like, if we were really in on a Super Bowl run,
like, we're week
and
18,
had Jurgens go down, like, maybe they could convince him, but I really don't see it. When he decided to come out and make a retirement speech and do the whole shebang, and really just solidified it. That was it. That was his end. His family's been trying to get him to do it forever, and that was for them. He still would love to play. I know he would. I know he still wants to play. He's admitted it. But this wasn't a decision just for him. It's for him, his body, his family. I honestly hope he does not come back. I think he has given everything he needs to give. He's not doing it for the money anymore. I know he still has some love for the game, but he has love for his family too. Don't screw it up. They've been trying to get him to retire for like 5 years now. It's time, so there's already basically been, obviously half the NFL fan base thought he retired after the Eagles game because that report came out. And then a second time it was confirmed. I think it should end at that. I really do.
Yeah, no, I agree mostly, but there's a little side of you that always wants to see him back out there. Obviously it's not going to happen. And we have to think about the more as a human being rather than just a player. And he has a lot going on outside, and even staying in game shape. Like, I doubt he's like working out every day and staying in like tip top shape if he was going to play. So exactly. I would just putting it out there. People keep joking about it. So
yeah, I think exactly.
Not going to happen, but you never know.
I just don't see it, man. I love the guy. I would love to. I'd love to see him in an Eagles uniform still, but I hope for his sake he doesn't.
All right, going on to the next signing. I think the next biggest signing that we kind of need to mention, DeVante Parker, I kind of just skipped over that one. Paris Campbell. Both those are going to be wide receiver 3 type guys. I think they're similar boat. I think DeVante Parker is, I don't know what's wrong with him. I thought he used to be good on the Dolphins, and then he kind of
he's just old, man. He's just he's the same as Julio from last year, except he was never on the same level as Julio, so he's even a downgrade from that. So, I mean, he's a guy that can go up and get a 50-50 ball. We're not going to use him in a lot of route combinations. He'll just be, he has the lowest.
Remember that guy?
Who?
Green Beckham? Dorrell?
Dorial Green Beckham?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was blanking on his first name. Dorrell. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I hope that he's better than Dorial Green Beckham. He is. But
hey, I'll take a touchdown from him.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I hope that he has more efficiency than he has in previous seasons. In the past 3 seasons, he is quite literally ranked dead last in all 3 seasons in separation. So I can't say I have super high hopes for he's him rejuvenating his career here, but I hope he does. He's obviously had a lot of talent in his career, and his time on the field. So hopefully we see another spark come along. And Paris Campbell is definitely a good signing. Another 1-year contract for both of them. But guys that both have some solid upside. You're not giving much to them. It's low risk, high reward. You might get, the old shines of them. You might not, but either way, you didn't give them much money. So it doesn't really hurt if it doesn't pan out.
Yeah. I mean, we lost Quez, however you want to say his name. And it's not really upsetting because he's
not really upsetting at all, honestly. Not even a little bit. Obviously a lot of people had high hopes for Quez, which makes it a little more stingy, but he really never did pan out. And I think by the end of his tenure here, we were all getting a little sick of him.
Dude, just bring back Travis Fulgham and just make the triple monster just amazing again, immaculate.
Exactly.
Travis Fulgham was the greatest receiver for like 4 weeks in NFL history. Like it was
absolutely. He had like 4 straight weeks of like 150 yards. It was awesome.
That was amazing. He was Megatron for 4 weeks, and then
he never caught a ball again. He just after those 4 weeks.
Just remember the good of him. Don't remember the bad.
It was just hilarious that like it literally was like it was the craziest little insanity run, and then he literally just like went back to being just not good again.
You don't really see that in the NFL as much as the NBA, because the NBA, like you can get guys like if they get minutes, they get hot and stuff like that. But like you get touches in the NFL, but like usually those guys don't they're not like, oh, like I'm exponentially better today than I was yesterday. Over
the closest thing I've seen to that was this season with Josh Dobbs. Honestly,
yeah,
Josh Dobbs went crazy QBs, for a couple weeks.
Sometimes they got lightning in a bottle. Like Josh McCown, the 1 year with the Bears.
Josh McCown was kind of a beast sometimes, and
he is.
And so is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I freaking love Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Him, yeah.
2 journeymen that I just thought were actual good quarterbacks.
Well, they'll show you that they're good quarterbacks, and then they'll just fall off a cliff.
And they'll just fall off a cliff for no reason. It's kind of like Kirk Cousins, except Kirk Cousins on a much higher level of it.
Talk about a guy that got signed.
Yeah, seriously.
Speaking of quarterbacks, we signed Mr. Kenny Pickett from the Steelers.
Not signed.
Pickett along with a 2024 4th-round pick in exchange for a 2024 3rd-round pick and a pair of 2025 7th-round picks. What do you think about this? And then I'm going to ask you another question that you might even get into about Justin Fields.
Honestly, I was actually a huge fan of this. It felt like a perfect situation. We obviously lost Mariota this offseason. We didn't have a backup quarterback, not another guy on the roster. Except for Tanner McKee, who is hopefully never going to see the field. No offense. But I thought it was a great move. We really didn't give up much for it. Didn't change positions much in the draft. You see the 3rd, you see the 4th. It doesn't really mean much. We moved back 22 spots. Not a big deal at all. And you're getting a guy who obviously didn't play well, but he was still a starting caliber quarterback. Debatably, but like he was a starter in the NFL, and you're getting him as a backup. He was a Philly guy, grew up loving Philadelphia Eagles. I think it was about as good of a situation as you can get. A young guy who had starting caliber experience, and he sits on the bench behind Jalen Hurts, gets more experience under his belt. I think he can be a really reliable backup. Definitely never would want him as my starter. Won't complain with him as my backup. I think he can be very serviceable if we need him.
So the other guy out there that was just always floating around, and I don't know why he didn't get more value, but Justin Fields that we talked about a lot. I know you have to go into about what Philly fans are saying and stuff, but do you think this is a better move than Justin Fields? Would you rather have Justin Fields if you got the same type value? We're giving up basically nothing either way. What are your thoughts on that? Because I kind of thought that Justin Fields would have been a better fit here. But
I mean, in terms of fit, like, yes, Justin Fields would have fit better, but no, not in a million years would I have wanted Justin Fields. And only because of the Eagles fans. Okay. So obviously we were trading for Justin Fields to be a clear and obvious second string quarterback. But even just that rumor coming out on the tail end of Jalen Hurts having a rough season, you had Philly fans talking about, oh, we're going to have a QB competition over here. We're bringing in Justin Fields. Can't wait to have this QB competition. Like, no. I cut the bullshit immediately. I didn't even want to give it a whiff. Like, that's the problem I have with Philadelphia fans and the way they can just throw somebody under the bus in a heartbeat. And that's exactly what would have happened if we got a guy like Justin Fields, a guy who NFL coaches and GMs clearly have labeled as a backup caliber quarterback. But in fans' eyes, showed a lot of signs of potential. Did some good things, really bad.
Honestly, no, like seriously, like his rushing ability, like he was a stud in fantasy because he got rushing touchdowns and he ran.
Absolutely, he put up a lot. He put up good numbers. Didn't really have the weapons and opportunity that he wanted as a Bears quarterback. A lot of people felt like in the right opportunity, he could have been he could have been something. And that's exactly what would have happened if he came in as our backup. The very second that Jalen Hurts has a bad game, you'll have half the fan base calling Justin Fields' name. And I don't want to see a repeat, a stupid repeat of Hurts-Wentz situation where, obviously that one worked out. I was happy to have Hurts, but he was a homegrown guy. He was drafted. It was a little bit different of a situation. Hurts was already on the, having some teammate issues and whatnot. I didn't even want to sniff that possibility of that situation occurring again. And Eagles fans willing it into existence. I
can't say anything, but I agree with you because honestly, I think that their level of play isn't that far off from each other. Honestly, I don't think Justin Fields is that much better than Kenny Pickett. I don't think Kenny Pickett's better than Justin Fields, but I can't help but agree with you because we would just suck. Jalen comes out, throws 2 picks, and then there's chanting for him, and that's nothing you need in the locker room or anything.
Exactly.
It's weird though because I swore, like when they traded him for that 6, where'd he go? Where'd he end up going?
Steelers.
Oh, obviously, yeah. I thought he would get more value. I didn't think
I was definitely shocked at the lack of value he got. NFL GMs made it pretty clear that he was a second string quarterback. And he was valued as a second string quarterback.
That's fair.
The Bears made it clear. I think the Bears, obviously fans didn't know what was going on, whether they were going to stick with Fields or take Caleb Williams. But it seems like the Bears let it slip that they never had Fields in their plan. And I think that
they kind of
lowered it down
on that one.
Yeah. So,
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Keep Justin? You gonna keep Justin and draft Caleb Williams? No, so you don't have any value for him.
Exactly. So if I were the Bears, I felt like they should have stuck with Fields and traded back from the pick and taken the amenities that would have come from that. Drafted a guy like Marvin Harrison because he wouldn't be moved back very far, of course. I felt like they did have something in Justin Fields, at least that could have been worked with. But, clearly they felt otherwise, and here we are. But I'm just glad that Fields has a weird hype train around him from fans that he does not have from coaches and GMs. And
fantasy football.
Yep. And I would not want to see that come into play in our locker room. So you get a guy like Kenny Pickett, who, like you said, is not super far apart in terms of what they've done. Obviously, I do think Justin Fields is much better. I don't want to say much, but in terms of their careers so far, neither has done a whole lot with anything. But they've both been starting caliber quarterbacks. And Kenny Pickett coming in here, nobody's sitting here thinking, oh, he's taking Jalen Hurts' job. So, he's a guy with nothing but potential, young guy, nothing but room to grow, has already shown flashes that he can be a starting caliber quarterback, and he's a perfect guy to have backing up Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Wrapping up the free agents. We want to mention Isaiah Rodgers, by the way, is coming back off his little gambling suspension that he had last year. He'll be back at corner for us. I don't know if he'll ever start or what he'll do. Maybe he'll play a slot corner type position since Maddox is not there anymore.
I wouldn't be shocked if Maddox still gets a deal to come back. Free agency is still a long period. I think that if they can manage to strike a deal with him, I know that both sides wanted it to happen. There's obviously just a ton of concern with him and his injury problems. So I think they're letting him test the waters, see if he can get something. But I think that if nothing works out, that he's definitely going to be back here next year.
That's fair.
But aside from that, I do think that as Isaiah Rodgers, he was a starter for the Colts. He had good things in him while he was there. They liked him. Obviously, weren't expecting him to, gamble into a suspension. Howie capitalized on that and, picked him up right away, right at the release. Howie obviously has had his eyes on him before and was honestly seemed like he was waiting for that opportunity. So hopefully he's a guy that can fill in a gap that we've had at corner. So,
yeah. Other little signings include Zach Bond from the Saints. He was a former third-round pick that we're paying basically nothing for. Will Grier as a third-string quarterback. He was from West Virginia. For all you West Virginia fans out there, if you would know him, he was a college legend. He was pretty good.
I only know him because he was Nash Greer's brother.
Really? Is he actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I actually knew him at West Virginia. Wow. Oren Burks, I don't know where we got him from, and Tyler Hall and PJ Mustipher. Do you know anything about those guys? Any details?
Honestly, I do not. I relatively have heard of Oren Burks. He's just going to be a depth guy. So is same with Tyler Hall and PJ Mustipher. Don't know much about them. They just might get some, slight rotational play here and there, but I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of them on the field.
All righty. Is there anything you want to wrap up about free agents before we get into the rule changes that occurred?
Yeah. Lastly, I just wanted to point out, obviously, we did hit on it a tiny bit, but did just want to point out that we made Landon Dickerson the highest paid guard in the league. Agreed to a 4-year deal worth $84 million that has a max value of $87 million and includes $50 million guaranteed. A big boy contract for a big boy. We've all loved Landon Dickerson so far, and I am obviously very excited that we're locking him up. He's been an integral piece to our offensive line, and I couldn't be happier to have him back. But I just wanted to shout that out real quick and, remind everybody that we're getting the big man back for a lot of years to come.
And he's going to buy his drivable mower that has
zero turn, baby.
Zero turn. Yes. He is very excited about that. His lawn looks really nice. He posted a picture. I will say it does look really nice.
Hell yeah, it does. It is a beautiful lawn.
His stripes are nice. I mean, I could never do that. I don't also have a mower like that, but I don't even know where I would start to do that.
Hey man, he does it himself. He's a hardworking man.
Good for him.
He's not high with the money he has. I know I'd be hiring a crew to do it for me, but this man has
this is why he's an
nice lawn. But anyway, let's transition into our last topic real quick. And we don't want to spend too long on it, but we want to hit on it real quick. 2 major rule changes in the NFL happened a couple days ago. One being a change to the kickoff format. Now the kicker will be by himself in the back. He will be setting up on the 35-yard line. After kicking it, he won't be able to cross midfield until the ball is in play. The ball will be considered in play if the returner catches it, or if the ball hits the ground in the landing zone, or if the ball gets to the end zone. Now, the big change comes in where the coverage team lines up. Coverage teams will be lined up together. The other 10 players on the kicking team will be lining up at the receiving team's 40-yard line. Each player has to have at least 1 foot on the 40 before the play can start. The kicking team also has to have 5 players on each side of the ball, so they won't be able to load up one side. And so more or less, basically, these guys are going to be lining up 10 yards apart, and they cannot move until the returner catches the ball. So bottom line of this rule is what the NFL committee is trying to do here is that they tried to make returns safer by moving the ball up in the last rule change. That led to a lot of touchbacks, no more returns. We haven't seen returns in a long time. What they're trying to do with this is they're trying to take out the touchbacks, but also keep it safe for the players, and you're going to see a lot more returns in the coming season.
Yeah, because if they do a touchback now, I think it's at the 35, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is, but yeah.
I'm still a little
confused. I saw that on CBS. I'm not positive that's it, but if that is the case, then it's going to be people are going to want to return the ball. The kicking team is going to want them to return the ball, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate the rule. I don't like change, so I kind of was a little shy to at first, but the more I've looked at it, the more it could be kind of interesting. Another point that I just wanted to make is for the onsides, if you want to kick onsides, you have to announce it to the other team, and it's going to be the same format as the regular onside kick that we had last year.
Yeah, I think that's pretty messed up. That just literally takes the offensive. I mean, it takes the onside kick out of the game.
Yeah.
Unless you're no longer.
Yeah.
Really, it was already such a low possibility play, and now you're just making those odds even worse. I think that you kind of just killed the onside kick with that rule.
Yeah, and it kind of does suck. You'll never see another surprise onside kick again. Not that they happen that often, but there was times in the game where you wouldn't know if it was going to be an onside kick or they could just pooch it over your head. And
yeah, not to mention you could see there's been a few times in my time watching football that I've seen coaches decide to start a second half with an onside kick just to switch things up, make things unpredictable.
Exactly.
No longer unpredictable. So
that does suck.
That does suck, but I think it could definitely be super interesting. You're going to see, like I said, a lot more returns, and it'll be exciting to see returns again. It was always fun to see returns back in the day. It was a shame to see them, disappear for such a long time, and I think it'll be nice to see it come back. I was also not a fan of the rule when I heard it. I thought it was going to be a little silly, but the idea of having returns back in the game and the possibility of more kick return touchdowns is definitely exciting to me. I think that it'll be a fun rule to witness. It'll be a little weird to watch in the beginning. It's definitely going to feel off. It's going to feel wrong, but I think that it could make for some really fun and really frustrating moments during the season. So,
for sure. I want to talk about a frustrating rule that I think is going to drive some people insane. Is a new hip drop tackle rule. Basically, this rule is the defensive player approaches from behind or the side of the offensive player and wraps his arms around him. When he becomes dead weight, drop it to the ground. I didn't even read that. Wraps his arms around the offensive player and becomes dead weight while dropping to the ground. Often, the defensive player's body lands on the offensive player's legs. Basically, this rule is to prevent the injury from the knee snapping back of the offensive player. I know Slay and Dean, I saw at least comment on this. A lot of other guys outside of the Eagles organization commented on this rule. What are your thoughts on this rule? If you want to go more into it, it's kind of a hip tackle when you're pulling a guy back because you have no choice because he's bigger than you or trying to stop him at the first down marker.
Yeah. At first glance, I absolutely hate the rule. As a former football player, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think that that's like one of the simplest ways to take somebody down. It's a way that you've been taught to tackle since, Little League. A lot of people learn to tackle that way because they're not strong enough to pick people up and move them.
Exactly.
I think that it was just part of the game. I think that, changing rules to the way people can be tackled is going to very much hurt the game. Having to have people think before they make a move and make a collision with somebody is almost just as dangerous as the tackle itself. And I think that it's going to cause a lot of confusion, a lot of trouble. I think that it's going to be really weird at first. But I think that how I feel about this rule all comes down to the way they're going to enforce it. Because my first thought in hearing this rule is that how the hell is anyone going to make a pursuit tackle ever again? How are you going to tackle somebody that is ahead of you? From behind. How are you going to do that? And that's going to have to decide on the way that they're going to call this penalty. I really don't know how they're going to call it, how strict they're going to be about it, how, plain and obvious it has to be, or if they're going to be, just tossing it willy-nilly anytime somebody rolls up on the back of somebody. So
that won't be tolerated.
I just don't I don't know what to expect from this rule. I don't know how they're going to call it. And I think that's going to make all the difference in whether this is a good rule or a bad rule, because at the bottom line, it is a dangerous tackle. A lot of players do get hurt on it very often. It's definitely making, jump towards safety for the players. But if they're going to call this penalty anytime somebody's tackling somebody from behind, then this is going to very much hurt the game.
I mean, the only thing I thought about as soon as I heard this rule is, one, if you get a sack, if you're coming behind a quarterback and pull him back with you, that's not going to be it, right? Like if you're coming from behind, say and he runs up in the pocket and you pull him back onto you at the hip.
It could be. I really don't know.
That's what I mean. So that's one that I really wouldn't like to see called. And then two, just if it's a crucial fourth down, and say they're at like the 50-yard line, and it's a 4th and short, and you pull the guy back and like make it short, they're gonna give 15 yards and the first down to that guy because you tackled him short because you used a hip drop type tackle. Like that would make me very furious if that was on my team.
I think it's pretty dumb that they didn't approve the rule that you can challenge a flag in the final 2 minutes of the game. I think they absolutely should. I mean, I don't think a game should ever be decided on a flag. So, I mean, I think that rule should have been passed. I know that it was addressed and did not get passed, in fact. So I hope that it gets brought back and, reappraised multiple times in the future, because I think that rule is necessary. But with this hip drop rule, man, it's going to be interesting to see how they're gonna work it. And it's going to be interesting to see if you're going to, it could change a lot of things around the league. It could, make for a lot more scores, a lot more broken tackles, and a lot more people moving around. Having a guy like Saquon Barkley might be an awesome year for it.
Yeah.
Then again, it might make the game soft. I just don't know what to expect from this game, from this rule. Like I said, again, it all comes down to the way they're going to call it.
And we will only have to see from that.
Sure.
All right.
So, yeah, with that, that's the end of our episode for today. That's all we've got for you guys. It's been a crazy offseason for us so far. A lot of fans are feeling a lot more excited for this upcoming season than they felt, a few months ago after the way it ended. I know I am. I think I speak for Steven when I say that he does as well. So we're excited to see these new guys in action coming up soon. And then for next week's episode, I'm not too sure if we'll get it to you next week or the week after, but we've got the draft process coming up, and we're going to try to get a mock draft or two out to you guys, try to have some fun with it. We'll try to make up different mock drafts, see what we come up with, what we get an idea of what both of us would like to see from the draft this year. So that'll be fun. Maybe we'll have some different guys, different opinions here. We get to debate a little bit, and we'll be getting into this whole draft process coming up this next month. So
I'm really excited. I already started planning my fun mock draft. It's never going to happen, but if we got these guys, it'd be really funny. So
hey, we can do a couple if you want. We have no limit on it. So stay tuned, guys. We'll have this kind of content out to you guys soon. And if you're watching today, we really appreciate it. Please, if you liked it, please like the video. We always appreciate that. And if you like our content, please subscribe. We always appreciate you guys tuning in. And we hope to see you guys again next week for some new cool stuff and some mock drafts. So thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Go Birds, and we will see you guys soon.